He lifted up
who had a
after
lot
the
to
car
talk
saw.
about- Someone who had a lot to talk about was Christian Horner. He decided to call out, so specifically, as it didn't come up on the systems, it didn't come up on the dashes, it didn't come up on the flashing panels. There was specifically one marshal, volunteer, by the way, this also sparked a debate, the fact these guys don't get paid, they volunteered to be there at the tracks. You know, the marshals, the guys waving the flags, the guys, they also run the panels. They're also technically at a high risk because they're right by the track, so if a piece of debris like flies past them. And speaking of debris, they're also the ones who run on the track, sweeping it up and collecting the bits when something's happened. These guys, volunteers, one of them, he sees someone going slow on the pit straight and he's now stopped, whips out his flag, waves it. This is what caused Max getting the harsher penalty, and then Horner decided to call him he called him like a stray or rogue marshal, called him out specifically, and then said the FIA he had to go at the FIA basically for what he did, which I think personally it's so bad because people think he got called to the stewards afterwards.
He got a warning, wasn't it?
He got a warning, and he got called to the stewards. Essentially, the breach he got, the code that he was breaching was, it was basically people essentially dumbed it down to hurting their feelings. Yeah. So talking badly about the FIA. But what he was actually doing, because that's putting it lightly, is he was intimidating stewards into not wanting to fly their flags when they see something dangerous, which I think is horrendous. Like, imagine you're a steward, obviously imagine you're a marshal and you're out there on the track, and obviously these aren't the kind of people to be intimidated by this, but in the back of your head, imagine thinking like F1's gonna like hate on me now because...
No, hate on me, these they have a lot of money, so you think, they can hurt my life, you know? No, in terms of like they're gonna hire a hitman. But in terms of like job opportunities, yeah. Because they would not be there as volunteers unless they really want to get into F1. And you're like, okay, I don't want to really annoy Christian Horner because he might affect like my chances of ever being like getting a job here, for instance.
Yeah, in terms of marshalling other events, sporting events at the track, MotoGP potentially.
Exactly, you get what I mean. So
that's a good point.
I understand why they'd be scared of that, but Christian Horner this year has been a bit like, he's gone crazy, hasn't he?
Bro, he has. You know what? He was so smug. I keep seeing him because Sky, for some reason, now they're milking this so much. They'll interview Toto and Christian like all the time. First interviews. They did it before, but now they're all over the place. And Christian with his smug face is like, I think I've kept my cool. You know, I haven't been pointing at cameras. Obviously, referring to the Toto meme, and he's just No, but some of the stuff he said is
at the end of I think like the two that stand out to me is that one.
Yeah.
And the last one, the one where he said that Lewis committed a technical foul. You know, the Silverstone. Yeah. No. Like the stuff that he said is just out of line. I'm surprised.
It's dodgy. It's very dodgy. They've been gaslighting Max for the past 6 years. Let's be honest.
They come out and defend their driver, and then when someone else comes out and defends their driver, no, this, and they'll come out and say like stuff like that, which I think is like, you can't like. What Lewis did in Silverstone, you can't go out and say that's a technical foul.
And you know what I've also heard? Right, this quote is insane, and Twitter's been... I talk about Twitter a lot, but the conversations are kind of mad. So, Helmut Marko has been quoted saying that before Brazil, he saw Angela, who's Lewis's physio trainer or something like that. Physio. She puts something in his hand, Lewis firmly holds it in his hand, and then quickly gets into the cockpit. That's part of the quote. And then the next part of the quote was something like, Max had no chance in Brazil. The way everyone's interpreted that, and I don't know if this is the way he meant, but it's Helmut Marko, so people are kind of debating. Okay, no, actually, no, I think it was Jos Verstappen. I think this was Jos Verstappen.
What did he say? I'm interested to see what like...
So the way they took it, I don't know the way you're thinking of it right now, but the way they took it is, essentially, he's implying that he was given drugs. So Angela's given something in his hand, he's firmly grasped it, and then dived into, I know he said dived, he dived into his cockpit. And then he went on to say Max had no chance of winning.
Because I think the first thing that comes to mind is Lewis is quite religious, so like as a Christian, so she might have given him a cross or something.
You know what everyone else is saying
and he takes it in and for good luck.
It's worse than that, bro. They were saying it's his hair tie. So he's implying it's drugs. They're saying it's the thing he uses to hold his dreads together in the car. So,
oh my god.
I don't know what to think of that, but
Helmut Marko.
No, I believe it was just Verstappen. I think I'll look it up.
Helmut Marko's come out and said some dodgy stuff, but Helmut Marko always says dodgy stuff.
Jos Verstappen's just as bad, bro. You know they've been talking about how we'll do it. I don't want to do an episode on this because it's a bit mad, but we'll have to talk about Verstappen and his rise through the ranks because the stories you see floating about how he treated Max when he was trying to get Max into F1 is insane. Like I don't want to get into it now, but like some of the stuff that I've heard that he used to do to Max to get him into F1 is horrific.
No, but I think that like they've saved Max through a lot of stuff, like a lot of incidents and stuff he's done, and Are
you seeing it now? Hold on.
You know, like Max deserves he deserved a lot of penalties. He got away with a lot of stuff because like Red Bull and stuff protecting him. And the fact that, you know what annoyed me with Christian Horner is he comes and says it's like a technical foul, but Lewis is one of the cleanest drivers in the grid, you know. You want to share with the group?
I'm on Reddit trying to find the quote, yeah, and so someone comments, "Is the drug speed?" and the next comment is "Ka-chow." But no, yeah, the first comment is about the hair tie and stuff. I need to. It was Jos, yeah.
Yeah.
It was Jos Verstappen.
I don't like Jos Verstappen, to be honest.
No, I don't think a lot of people do.
Yeah, I don't.
There it is. So the quote is. Hold on. If I agree to the cookies real quick. In Brazil, Hamilton gets something pressed into his hands by his trainer. Then he walks back to his car and dives in the cockpit. All in all, it's just weird. Max did not stand a chance. It seems to me very strongly that they're doing something that's not allowed. That's the point. And it was just Verstappen, not Helmut Marko.
No, but I don't get that. Like, if he's gonna do drugs, he'll do it before. Like, plus, like, if you're actually thinking about it honestly, I read something about this. Are you allowed to do drugs? Like, as on like this Facebook group. Like, are you allowed to do drugs in F1? What are they get tested for? And I think someone was caught doing weed. It was what's his name? Villeneuve. His son, the younger one.
Gilles Villeneuve?
Jacques Villeneuve. He won in 97, what's his name?
That's Jacques Villeneuve.
Is it Jacques?
It's Jacques Villeneuve, yeah.
Sure
the blonde tips.
Yeah. It's not called Jacques Villeneuve.
It's Jacques Villeneuve, yeah, bro.
Really?
Yeah, the older one is Gilles Villeneuve.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it's not called Jacques.
The younger one's... It's Jacques with like a...
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but it's pronounced... It's Jacques, I swear.
Yeah.
I don't know how to spell Villeneuve.
Yeah, Villeneuve. Anyways. So basically, he got caught for weed, and they're like, he's not going to gain any advantage of it. So basically, they allowed him to kind of get away with it with a warning. Okay.
Yeah.
Jacques. But basically, the thing I was commenting on is, he always comes up and says like some dodgy stuff.
Yeah, Villeneuve's another one who chats a bit too much.
No, but like the stuff he says is funny. But essentially, like realistically speaking, it's not a very Formula 1 is a physical sport. But it's not a sport where if he does drugs, he's gonna like gain a massive advantage.
True. Yeah. It's a lot more physical than people realize.
I get, for instance, maybe like it will help his like maybe reaction time or this, but he's not gonna be like the performance, the extra performance he had in Brazil was coming purely from that engine and like stuff. You can say Mercedes are doing some dodgy stuff.
Could you imagine? You know how in the night races they have clear visors. So could you imagine? You're just like looking on the onboard camera of Lewis staring at his thing, you just see his red eyes just staring back at the camera, bro.
So I don't get that. Like, yeah, I think
anyway.
That's the thing. Mercedes are less likely to come and just kind of throw like random stuff at Red Bull, just accusing like the driver. And
Mercedes have held themselves to a much better. They have more integrity.
Yeah, that's like, I'm not a fan of Mercedes, to be honest, but I think I respect that a lot more.
They're more classy.
Exactly. Red Bull will come out and like, you know, the war of words and like this mental battle and all of that, but I think they take it to a level that's disrespectful.
Yeah.
And I actually really like Christian Horner, I'm not gonna lie. But this year Christian Horner's gone on a bender. Like his stuff he said, bro, like you can't like him after the stuff he said, you know, like.
Bro, we'll have to do Christian Horner best bits.
Yeah.
We're
I have one
compiling
question.
ideas.
I have a serious question for you. I think Lewis thought when he signed that new contract that he was going to lose the championship. Ooh. I honestly think that because Red Bull had such a big advantage, and he signed it mid-season, so they had a big advantage. They were going to go on and win the championship. Realistically, it looked like Max was going to win. I think he signed when Max had like a 33-point gap or something like that.
Right.
So he signed before Silverstone, Max had a 33-point gap.
Yeah.
realistically speaking, he signed because he wanted that 8th championship. So if Lewis wins this year, do you see him fulfilling that contract? Do you see him staying for 2 more years? Do you see him staying for next year?
Yeah, because I feel like part of what's given him this motivation as well is the whole, as much as it doesn't sound realistic in comparison to the racing, the whole diversity thing he's been trying to do and stuff, I feel like he's really realised, because I don't know what it is with him, but almost being around all these white people and stuff his entire life, it's sounding like this motivation now that he's got last year and the momentum it's built, and obviously the website, the things he's funding, the Mercedes element now as well, who are also trying to.
And there's also like Formula 1 has the Wii Races one.
F1 also doing schemes now. The fact he's running all of this and stuff, I feel like he's really focusing on his legacy outside of F1 as well. So as much as
he could still keep that going if he retires.
Yeah, but
because he
not as much on a big scale.
He will always be Lewis Hamilton, and he'll always have that mad respect of. He has surpassed Michael. Like once he gets that 8th, which I think he'll get this year, provided he doesn't have any big kind of reliability issues.
Yeah.
He will be the most he holds the biggest record in F1 history, most poles, most wins. He's won at 30 out of the 35 tracks he's ever raced.
That's insane. And then pole at 31, I think it was.
And
the stats.
And he's won 102 races. And I think he would have won, by the time he retires, an 8th championship. So the question is, he spoke about this once on the Graham Norton show, about, retiring and stuff. He's like, to become an F1 driver, to stay, you have to give up so much of your life.
Yeah.
Dedicate it towards Formula 1. Especially now with the 23 race season, it's more along the lines of that. So, I'm not sure if he'll stay the 2 years. I think that he might stay next year, experience the new kind of regulations, and I think if he wins this year, I see him maybe retiring at the end of that one, rather than this year, rather than staying the full 2 years, because I don't think Lewis will have the motivation to. I think he got fired up because Max is really fighting him.
Yeah, if there's no competition, he'll struggle to find the motivation.
Not just that, I think even if there is a competition, I don't see him. That's the thing. I see him he's just so there's nothing else for me to break. He's broken all the records.
I feel like he'd want to prove himself against, let's say, next year.
That's what I'm saying.
Competitive with McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes.
That's why
now he's got to prove himself against Lando, against George, against Charles. All of these conversations.
That's what I'm saying. He'll stay another year. Yeah. But I hope I hope he if he wins this year, I actually want him to retire. You know why? I have mad respect for Nico Rosberg. You know why? It's very rare for a driver or a sports personality or whatever to reach the top and retire when you are the best. Or you can say arguably you are the best. With Nico there is the conversation of Lewis was there and stuff. But you are on top. He won, he defeated Lewis, he is the world champion.
Yeah.
And he walked out. And because the problem is you see a lot of these drivers racing into their 40s and stuff where they start to lose touch, start to drive badly. And that's what they remember for. I never wanted Michael Schumacher to come back.
Yeah,
because that second stint,
it's not the same.
It's not the same. You never look at him the same. There's Michael before, and then there's Michael after, and I think it did not really do service to his career. I think if you grew up in that era and you our age and you watch more Michael the second time, you don't really appreciate that kind of level of competitiveness and the level of fire
it's
that
he had. It's like Kimi now. Nowadays people
No, but Kimi has always had.
You know what I mean? Nowadays people turn on and watch Kimi and they see him fighting for 16th.
Yeah, and this is what.
And now, what we know about Kimi is obviously more about him winning the championship, and then even before us, he was even better in McLaren, being competitive and stuff. And then he kind of became.
You lose that appreciation for them. I don't want that to happen to Lewis. Because people will forget that, and people will only remember what happened after. Vettel had retired 4 times. Obviously he was a lot younger at the time, so I don't expect him to retire at that point. Versus Lewis is in his late 30s. So if he retires, there is an actual realistic point to him retiring. But I want him to I don't want him to have that kind of stain on his record where he went to this team and didn't perform well.
Yeah.
Plus he came in there is an argument. He came in the team that Michael built. For them to go on.
Oh, bro, I hate this argument about the whole it's all thanks to Michael.
No. But he built that team around him. and he managed to extract the best out of the car, and he managed to win so many championships. Arguably, like